When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Within the gaming world, there are your general gamers, but then there are those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming. If you're one of those that enjoy the dark underbelly of gaming, we certainly got the place to send you. Scorpion Lair Games. That's right, Scorpion Lair Games is the creators of the true crime hit Killers, the card game. Let's not forget they also have Killers Clothing Company, their profiler game, and things like the 5-Minute Murder channel on YouTube. And we certainly can't forget the new book that is certainly a hit, Beyond the Headliners, True Crimes, Myths, and Legends. Make sure you visit Jeff and the Scorpion Lair Games on Facebook and everywhere today.
Hi, this is Princess Victoria, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today.
Alright, so ladies and germs, you know, I'm gonna go with the old school mentality here. I have notes, but because we had her on before, but why don't we call this in the ring, this sumbitch?
Boots to asses! You're welcome.
She's back with us. We'll get into it. Former WWEF, whatever you want to call it, tag champ. She was in Portland. She's been all over the place rocking and rolling. She might have kicked Moolah's ass once or twice. That's the rumor. I don't know. Princess Victoria, how the hell are you?
I am doing great. I hope you're doing half as good as I am.
And to have full transparency, and obviously if people follow you online, they know they would have heard somewhere along the line that you have been doing a little bit of DDP yoga. And she was just showing me, as I went to go hit the button, how much movement she has. So how long have you been doing it? What's going on with this?
I believe I started in August with Tom Strasdis. And to give you an idea how, when I first saw the DDPY, you know, uh, uh, memes and all that, I went, oh, no, not another wrestler turned carny. And then Tom Strasdis contacted me. And at the time he contacted me, if you can see this, this is as high as I could raise my arm at that time. Tom works for me 2 days a week. We started out with a 50-minute workout. After what we've done, this is where where I can reach my arm now. If you're looking for mobility, and I have severe issues. I have degenerative disc bone disease. I have no padding between my vertebrae. I have fibromyalgia. And this all originated because of me breaking my neck in the ring.
That's what I was going to ask. It was a neck injury that you had, so.
Yes, sir. Bless her heart, the lady that this happened with, Despina Montagas, there was either a ripple, a ripple in the mat or a tear in the mat, and she picked me up like she was either going to hold me, put me in the turnbuckle upside down, or she was going to pile drive me. And then she stumbled over this piece in the mat. And when she did, she sat down on my head. Now, I had no clue that my neck was broke. The adrenaline was running, and, anybody who's ever done weightlifting, running, or wrestling understands that adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And I got back to the dressing room, and as always, I sat down a few minutes to cool off because you don't like taking a shower when you're still sweating because it does no good. And I bent down to unlace my boots. And when I went down, I felt this pain all the way down my right shoulder. It was like somebody had put a sword in my right shoulder, and it went all the way down to my feet. So, like every wrestler that I've ever known, my first thought was, oh, God, what muscle have I pulled now?
But this was different, obviously. When
it was different, but my brain did not acknowledge that. So I sat there a few more minutes, and I reached down to untie my boots, and my brain goes blank at this point. I don't know how loud I screamed, but I do know that when the next memory I have is I am on a gurney. There's an EMT on either side of me, and I believe it was Roddy Piper and Don Morocco were out there as they loaded me in the ambulance. I remember, now cut it off right there. The next memory I have is I've got a doctor telling me I've got a broken neck and I need surgery. Well, this is back in the good old days when we
don't let them cut you. Don't let them cut you.
Exactly. Well, right. And this is back in the good old days where if you got hurt, it was on you. Other than two promoters, and that was Bill Watts and Don Owens. And I worked for both of them, and I can tell you, they are on the same level with me. They took care of their people. They took care of me. So I remember laying in the hospital bed, them telling me I've got a broken neck. And of course, I'm cussing like a sailor. I made a sailor blush.
I can never imagine this with you.
No, really?
I know, right?
And the next memory I have is I'm back at Moolah's hill, but I have no memory of leaving that hospital. I have no idea how I got back to South Carolina, and this was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The next memory I have is Moolah walking in the door and saying, "Come on," and she'd take me out in the barn. She'd have me take a bump, and I would scream to high heaven. And anybody who knows me knows I have a very high tolerance for pain. I mean, I broke my collarbone and wrestled 2 weeks later. That's how high my tolerance
Yeah.
is. And the next thing is Moolah calling me to the house and telling me I want the brown outfit, which was what she gave me for Christmas. I want the yellow outfit, and I want the white and gold outfit. That will pay your rent for the last 2 months, and you need to get a job or you need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally left the hill with my Malibu station packed with everything that I could carry with me and $20 in my pocket. And Moolah, and this is probably the worst part of it, instead of Moolah telling them I broke my neck, which I could kind of understand, because if she told them I broke my neck and that they threw me out to the wolves, then the girls would know what was going to happen to them if they got injured.
Yeah.
But that's not what she told everybody.
Mm-hmm. This is the drug stuff and all, right?
She told everybody I was in prison for dealing cocaine.
Yeah.
My friends, Roddy Piper, Buddy, and friends, I'm talking friends, big brothers.
They were more like family, these guys.
Oh, and see, that's what is missing in wrestling today is, in my day, we were family. Even if I was mad at you or we had heat, if you called me up and said, "Look, I'm between mile marker this and mile marker that. My car broke down. Can you come help me?" You jumped up, you put on your clothes, and you went and did what you had to do.
Yep.
But I had a lot of my friends pass away thinking I was in jail for dealing cocaine.
Yeah.
And that hurts. She could have said I got pregnant. She could have said I found somebody, married them, and I was done with wrestling. There are so many different scenarios that she could have posted, but she wanted to destroy my reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Which she did with anybody.
You weren't the only one she's pulled this kind of shit with, I know.
Oh, I know. Oh, believe me. Sherry Martel was one. And she would pull this manipulating crap where she would try to pull us into her office. Well, so and so said this, and I actually had somebody. She actually pulled me into the office and said, "Well, so and so said so and so called them and said I gave them the clap." And this was the end. I stood up. I went to the local healthcare center. I got a clear pass on gonorrhea. I didn't even have chlamydia. And I took that back and I slammed it down on Moolah's desk. And this is what she would do. She would say, well, so-and-so said this about you, and so-and-so said that about you. Her idea was to divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm. And I was just
And
listening to a similar story with two other guys. I'll tell you when you're done. Go ahead.
I mean, and see, I was one of the mamas on the road. And mamas on the road means it's your car, you're transporting everybody, you're talking to the promoters, you're collecting the pay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to Don Owens after I left with being and went to being booked by Moolah, neither Don Owens nor Bill Watts would send her a check. They would pay me cash. They literally refused to send the money to Moolah. And Judy Martin actually has proof that Moolah was taking, say you actually made $500 for your match. She would break it down to $250 and then take 25% off of that.
But she really got half to start with, yeah.
Right. And so you have to understand that, you know, when I went into wrestling, I had been a waitress and working for Sandy. You know, when I was a waitress, my pay scale was $235 an hour
Mm-hmm.
plus tax. So when you come back and tell me I've made $10,000 this year, you know,
It was mind blowing. Yeah.
Right. And like I started out, Moolah would take me out after I broke my neck. Moolah would take me out, have me take a bump. I'd scream, go back to my room, crawl back in bed. Well, one day Moolah comes to me and she says, "Come on, I'm going to make a phone call. I need you on it." And that's when she contacted, oh God, what was his name?
The guy overseas?
Yes, in Amsterdam. What was Ernie Van Gilder? And she put me on the phone with him, and he was what we call a super mark, a money mark.
Yeah, I got your money.
Uh-huh.
And this was after I broke my neck, after I never wrestled another day in my life. She did the Southern slang thing, which always told me when she went Southern slang, she was lying. And I talked to Ernie Van Gilder and made it very clear that when I came there were to be 2 separate motel rooms. And I woke up the first morning and I caught Ernie in my room, and I caught him with his hand about right here. And I grabbed his hand and I did the wrist lock thing. And he kept pushing forward, and I said, "Ernie, I will break your wrist." Within the next week, Ernie had asked me once where, you know, what would you do if I took your passport? And excuse me, people, I'm about to cuss, so if you want to close your children's ear, please do. And I told him once he asked me what I'd do if he took my passport, I said, after I beat the shit out of you, I'm going to the American consulate and I'm going to file any charge that I can file against you. And then he had a Jaguar that he drove all around, and then we got on the Audubon. And the Audubon, as well as a lot of people know, there's no speed limit. And I was having fun, and I got the car up to 100 miles an hour going down the Audubon. And for some reason, and I can't figure it out, I downshifted into second gear several times. And I guarantee you, he had to replace his clutch. And what is the other thing? The clutch. And what
would that have been like the transmission?
Yes, there's a piece that connects to the transmission, and I'm trying to think of what they called it. But anywhere, it's a gear that works between the two, the clutch and the transmission. And I'm telling you, I know he had to redo that transmission before I left.
Oh yeah.
And then about 35 years later, Velvet McIntyre tells me that, and Judy Martin has told me recently, that Moolah was going around the property cussing, saying, I can't believe she didn't sleep with him. Now, when you add this up, was she getting a payday with me? With me sleeping with Ernie. But you got to understand, Ernie Van Gilder was not beat by an ugly stick. He was beat by the whole damn forest.
Oh, this is the worst looking hat I ever saw. Well, you buy a hat like this, I'll bet you get a free bowl of soup, huh? Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Yeah, I've heard of guys like that, and I'm one or two sticks, but I'm not the whole damn tree. Well, here, let me tell you this before I forget it, because you were talking about the promoters and the shady stuff that you mentioned what Moolah would do and all with the payoffs.
Right.
So it was an old, and I've dealt with both guys I mentioned here. I'm not speaking ill to dead folks.
Right.
But I believe both guys because I've dealt with both early in this. But it was go ahead.
And who were these guys?
I was just about to say, it was George the Animal Steel telling the story. Yep. And I always thought he was upfront and honest in my dealings with him. And I never heard a bad word said about the man.
No, you won't hear it.
No. And the other one was Bruno Sammartino. So I won't break down the whole story, but it was when George was still working in Detroit and he got invited to work Pittsburgh with Bruno and all that stuff. And the original Sheik out of Detroit was the middleman per se.
Right.
Hey, can I have one of your guys? That type of deal. So anyway,
that's the way the territories work. And hint, guys.
But
all you little indie promotions, if you guys would start working with each other, this man is telling what you can do.
Okay, so this is how the Sheik was supposedly. I don't know, never, but you hear enough stories, you know what I mean? So anyway, the Sheik was still, this was before George would do the summers and everything else full time and leave Detroit. The Sheik would be telling George, hey, Bruno said you're complaining about payoffs. Bruno said you said this, whatever. These different things. When Sheik would talk to Bruno, hey, George says this. George, trying to wedge that. So they were looking for a spot to be filled in the summer. And this is when George said, I'm leaving Detroit and going to New York because of Bruno's recommendation. But they got on the phone with each other. Bruno called George or whatever the case was to figure everything out. And Bruno said, and Bruno's was a very honorable man as well.
Yes, he was.
Am I speaking out of tune with both guys?
No, you're not.
Okay. So Bruno, during this conversation, according to George, and like I said, I believe him on this, Bruno would say, "Hey, I heard you said this, that. I showed you the books. I showed you everything." Because Bruno was a part owner in the Pittsburgh office that was part of New York.
Right.
But he would say, Bruno would say, "Hey, this is what the gates were. This is what," justifying what he was paying George.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, trying to be. I know it might sound shocking, folks, but upfront and honest with his talent, right?
Well, that's a good promoter.
Yeah.
When you're a promoter, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So George is like, "Well, Sheik said you said this, and that." Well, then when the light bulb went off in both guys. We're gonna, you know what I mean? That Sheik was stirring the shit. But go ahead.
Right. Well, that's exactly what.
And that bonded their relationship for the rest of their lives.
Well, yeah, and it's like us girls, I was quote unquote mama on the road, which meant, I not only had the car, I paid for the motel room, I tracked the mileage, I talked to the promoters, and had no idea that Moolah was doing what she did. And what really confused me was 99% of the promoters would send a check to Moolah, except for Bill Watts and Don Owens.
Mm-hmm.
And when Don Owens came to me, or not Don Owens, when Bill Watts came to me and handed us our envelope, I said, I went to hand it back. I said, "No, you need to send this to Moolah." He says, "I don't send anything to Moolah. I pay you each and every night." And
that's what I was going to ask, but
that should have smartened me up, but it didn't, because I went from $235 an hour to $10,000 plus a year. And I never could figure out why, with smaller shows, I mean, we did the Superdome in Louisiana, but I never could figure out how I could make more money with Bill Watts with smaller shows than what I made in New York with the McMahons.
Mm-hmm.
And Judy actually, when Judy and Patty, Leilani Kai, were doing the Glamour Girls, she walked up to a gentleman, I will not mention his name, he's in the upper salon, and she asked him for copies of checks from the back times.
Would this, and I'm not going to name names, would this be who I'm taking off right up back? Would his name be with the same letter twice?
No.
Okay, because he was a right-hand person at the time.
Yeah, A.S.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and he went in and he went through the files and he handed Judy, the checks. Well, see, like I said, we used to keep track. And Velvet was like, she not only kept track of the paydays, she kept track of the miles. She kept track of who won and who lost. And Judy went to a lawyer. And the lawyer told her, "Yes, ma'am, you have the information, to convict her. But your one problem is you don't have the money
to support the case and all that."
Right. Well, because Moolah was connected to McMahon and the
would have had the backing
lawyers. Yes. Yes, exactly.
That whole game.
And yes. So, And I've told everybody, I have to split, although it makes me very mad what Lillian Elson did to us girls as a booker. I have to split Moolah into two different people.
Mm-hmm.
There's Moolah the wrestler, who started in 1949, who rode a real tough road. And if it wasn't for her, I may never have been in wrestling.
Yeah.
And then there's the other, and I have to respect her as a professional wrestler.
Yes.
And the fact that they took her name off of the Battle Royal with, McMahon.
Because of some of the stuff that was coming out at the time, yes.
But Snickers was backing baseball and the NFL. And let's start out with Michael Vick,
mm-hmm.
who was fighting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And I live 60 miles from where he was, and I was involved in, helping people adopt animals. And they said that you could smell the death at the gate. Okay, so they're still, and then Vic goes to prison, comes out, the NFL books him again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Lillian Elson as a booker was shady as hell. But if you're going to take Moolah's name off of this Battle Royal, then you need to drop every MLB, NFL player who has ever been arrested for and convicted of beating his wife, getting in a fight, all of this crap.
Mm-hmm.
But Snickers chose to fight against Moolah. And I hate to say this, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, Vince gave in way too soon. You cannot erase Moolah from the history of women's wrestling.
Yeah. And like you said, there's two different sides of that. Now,
yes.
And I know you have your opinions on Vince, and we won't totally go down that road. But as you mentioned, from a business, let's think about this from a business perspective. Okay.
Right.
And this is your sandbox we're playing in, Vicky. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Obviously it's not, but we're playing in your sandbox, and you have one of your major sponsors in Snickers, in this case, wanting to pull their funding or sponsorship because of you hear X, Y, and Z. How do you handle it? Because from a business side, obviously you want that as much income coming in to be able to pay your talent and just everything that goes into it. How do you play ball here?
I do exactly what I told you. All right. If I have to remove Moolah's name from this Battle Royal, then you have to XYZ NFL. This one was caught doing drugs. This one was caught driving drunk. This one was caught beating his wife or his girlfriend. Now, why can you not defend, not not delete Moolah, but you can keep backing people like Michael Vick, like Babe Ruth. I mean, if you want to go back, let's go back.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth was a drunken
Mickey Mantle and all them.
Mickey Mantle was the same way. Okay, you have not taken them out of the Hall of Fame, but you're going to do it to Moolah? No, I'm sorry. That's not right.
Yeah. And, you know, because it's funny you bring up the other organizations and stuff. And I can speak as a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I've been there 10 years as a member. I got my card here.
Thank you.
And it's, when you think about it, like you said, it's a no-brainer. If we look at what I call the four major sports, right? Baseball, basketball, whatever. And you're perfectly,
hockey.
yeah, but you go the four majors. But if you look at history, not everybody was, you're absolutely right, wasn't squeaky clean.
No.
The Hall of Fame is based on what you did in your profession. In
yes,
your case,
sir.
In your case, it be what happened between the ropes. And this is, I never asked this, and I deal with a lot of legends and different folks as well. But it's something I always thought about, but I don't think I've ever brought up. Because I'm going to do that. Being's wrestling is what it is, and all that fun stuff has been since the carnival days. And, obviously it's evolved and changed and all that stuff. How do you?
It's actually older than that.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying from the carnival days.
Right.
Just to give a point of reference. How would you, Princess Victoria, look at whether someone is good, great, etc.? Because it's like I'm not speaking out of tune. It's the promoter says, "Hey, Princess Victoria, I want you over more tonight," or "Hey, tomorrow I want you to lose to Sherry Martel." Just the different things. You're doing your job and what's asked of from the boss. So how do you look at somebody? Because I know you go to some indie shows and different things, or if you see something on TV, how do you judge whether somebody's good or not at what they do? Guy, girl, doesn't matter.
All right, let's start with Brandon Scott.
Okay.
And I went to VCW in Virginia. I believe it was in Virginia Beach. And there was this kid, baby faced little kid, couldn't even grow a mustache. And I was there to see Grimlina.
Oh, I love Sandy. She's great, isn't she? She's the sweetest, isn't she?
Oh, I love her so much.
She's the best. I haven't talked to her in a while, but she's one of the best. She's one of the best.
Well, her and I had a conversation because she had a crush on Piper, but Piper and I had dated off and on from 79 to 82 when he got married to Kitty.
Yeah.
But she is a mess.
She's the sweetest, right? Yeah, you're right.
I love Grimmy to death. She is there's nobody like her.
She totally fits in the wrestling world. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way I can say it. She totally fits.
In the dysfunctional family we are. And to take it from there, these kids today, they don't know what they're missing. Back in my day, you could be really mad at somebody. But if they called you up and said, "I'm broke down at mile marker so-and-so," you were there. Even if you didn't like them.
You helped your brother or sister out as best you could.
And that's what we were. And I don't see that today. When I walk in the dressing room, I hear, "Well, I got to get my this in, and I got to get my that in, and I got to get this in."
Me.
What happened to the fans? What happened to what the fans want to see? You know, and it to me, on my fan page and on my personal page, I hear the fans screaming for old school wrestling. They're sick of the bump monkeys, you know, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a minute. I gotta turn you away right now. I gotta do something.
Okay, do what you got to do. But can you still hear me because I want to preface
Yes,
something.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I just have to do something with
No,
my
no, you're
teeth.
good. Yeah. So I just want to preface. It's actually a good point that Victoria had brought this up because a lot of the trolls were talking about John Cena's last match. But and I can't speak to everything, but I think I've gotten an education enough from a lot of the legends, and I'm still learning. Don't claim to know it all, any of that stuff. But when you watch that match, John was totally old school from what I saw, because they were
Right.
because his whole thing, part of his deal was never give up and keep pushing and all. And I don't know if you saw the internet and all this with this shit, but he ended up tapping out.
Right.
And the announcers were talking about, oh, he hasn't tapped out in 20 years. He hasn't done. Yeah, that was the story being told. Then they flipped. These trolls online were like, what I mean, flipping out. It's like, if you did your homework on how he was doing things the right way. Laces up. You know what I'm saying? The old school
Yep.
mentality. It was, he was passing a torch on his way out the door, and he was trying to do the right thing. So these
Yep.
unfortunately, a lot of the fans don't realize this stuff.
And maybe that goes back to kayfabe being put in place,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we need back.
Can it be put back?
We need it back. Yeah, I don't want to see any more wrestlers that this wrestler wrestled this wrestler lost, and they're, great friends on Facebook. What are you taking away from the fans? When the incident with my brother happened, have you heard about that?
Which one? Go ahead.
The one where he jumped in front of me.
Oh, the with the wall, yes, in Portland.
Yes. And although I loved my brother, and I had to let things go the way they were supposed to,
mm-hmm.
the security guards took him off stage. Sandy talked to him, knew he was my brother, so he let him go back to his seat. And that night, I had to say, look, baby boy, this is my job. This is what I do. You have no right to touch any wrestler during a show or anything else because of me. And everybody has asked me, well, did you smarten them up at that time? No, I didn't.
No.
Because that would have been taking wrestling away from them.
Mm-hmm.
They love. Why would I do that? And I had to sit there and tell my brother, look, this is my job. This is what I do. Even if you see me getting hurt, you can never do this again. And, doing that in one way, it hurt me, but in another way, because I didn't, as they say, expose the business to my own family.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to take that, and I'm going to say it, I did not want to take that magic away from
That was
them.
the word I was thinking.
Right.
Because here you go,
And-
perfect example. More current, similar thing with this, okay, on this topic.
Right.
And, we're bouncing all over the place while we have her, but I have a 6-year-old nephew, okay? And
Right.
he knows I've watched wrestling since about 2.5, 3. I'm 41
Right.
now, okay?
Right.
So, I wrestle around with him. He wants to have matches. He goes, I want to be Cody. I want to be this one. You're going to be the heel or bad guy. You're going to do right. He it's cool, right? But then he wants to start. It started with him wanting to watch some stuff, and he goes, "Can you pull up a Roman match? Can you pull up this?" But I'm also trying to interject some old school stuff that I grew up with, right?
Right.
From the mid '80s on. But the thing is, and he's a smart kid. It's scary how smart he is. And he'll ask me questions about the business, winking an eye. And I will dance around some of it. Because like you said, you don't want to fully take the magic away.
Right.
It's like, yes, buddy. But there was a little issue. I'll tell you about that later. But it's like, yeah, I want him to be able to still have, and I know I'm a different breed and still enjoy it. Even though the horses left the barn. But I don't want to take that magic away from him. It's like with kids with Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, that's like, once my son was like 13, and he still believed in Santa, or maybe he wasn't even 13. But anyway, there was one day I looked at my son, I said, and I knew when he came home singing, and he was a Barney freak, he said, sang this song, let's hang Barney from a tree was one of the things in it. And then he let me know that he didn't believe in Santa Claus. And what we do now is we wait till the day after Christmas to do our Christmas shopping.
Everything's half off and shit.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I asked him that one day on Christmas Eve, I said, all right, I got presents for you under the tree. I've got X amount of dollars, because like I said, he didn't believe in Santa Claus anymore. I said, I've got X amount of dollars. Now I can spend this the week before Christmas, or you and I can go shopping the day after Christmas, and you can get twice as much.
More for the buck, yeah. Yeah.
And our favorite day was the day after Christmas.
Boxing Day.
Yes,
I believe it is. I believe it's Boxing Day in Canada. Yeah, that's why we got along so well during the first episode and telling some of these stories.
I mean, nothing bothers me, and
Oh yeah.
If I don't want to talk about something, I'm going to go, nah.
We're not going there. And I always appreciated that about you. You did a tour of Japan before, right?
I did at least 4, but my brain wants to say I did 7. But I loved the tours in Japan.
Who were you there for? Do you remember? Which one?
I was there for, I believe it's called All Japan Girls Wrestling. And I mean, I had such a great time.
Yeah.
You know, them girls and Mimi Hagorora, who translated everything, she was right there. And I will always think of her and Chico. And you've seen her. I think she's part of the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Okay. She was your translator?
No, Mimi was our transmate.
Okay.
And she sang. She was not only a wrestling star, she was an artist in music. And then she opened her own business with her son. And Mimi was, you couldn't ask for a better person to be on your side.
Yeah. And I remember, well, did they treat the women differently over there compared to the States?
Oh God, yes. We were gods. When I went over with like Elizabeth Chase, Wendy Richter, Peggy Lee Fowler, so women from America, and of course we were all heels when we went over there.
The Gaijins usually were. Yeah.
And yeah, Gaijin. Okay, that gotcha. And Gaijin, what a lot of people don't realize is that is not a good word. That is actually an insult.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like a sword fighting friend of mine who, from doing this, was did some stuff for a movie with Jet Li, and he got booked last minute because he was one of the few that qualified, and it wasn't Jet Li, but it was his guy, his translator, and would say similar deal, be like, this Guilo actually knows what he's doing. I'm not sure about this guy. Jet goes, who had another 45 years of experience as well, going, no, this Guilos leave him alone. Kind of like,
Right.
So anyway, you were saying about the being a heel over there. And
oh, it was. And unfortunately, and I'm going to start at the start from this and tell a story as short as I can tell, and everybody knows. God help us now. Moolah, and this before I broke my neck, Moolah came and got me from my room, which was right beside the barn and back behind her. And my porch actually extended over the lake, and I used to throw leftovers. So it got to a point where I could just cast my shadow, and here comes turtles, otters, and brim. But
at least it wasn't the beer cans you might have given a little person living at Moolah's at the time. But go ahead. You saw your shadow.
That is one of my greatest memories.
See, folks, I got to throw a curveball once in a while.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Damn. Okay, forget the last part. Y'all listen up here. Katie was the midget that lived with Moolah. And I didn't quite understand until I did something that I shouldn't have done. And me and Sherry Martell, here's Moolah's house. Across the road that goes over the dam is where Sherry Martell is staying. And her and I are always out on the dock suntanning. And not so much because we wanted a tan, but because it was so relaxing. And one day,
Somebody might have picked up a six-pack. We're not naming...
well, we would always have a case of Michelob because I don't like beer, but I like Michelob.
But surprisingly, this case of Michelob would show up once in a while.
Yes, it would. And we would drop it on a rope and drop it under the lake. And Katie would come out when she saw me and Sherry out on the dock having us a good old time. And we had to pull the beer up and give Katie a beer. Well, one day I made the mistake of giving Katie 2 beers.
Uh-huh.
And see, at that time, I was not smart enough to take in.
You weren't thinking the physics of this.
Right, exactly. It was like, okay, Katie is my son at 10 years old, 100 pounds soaking wet. And
me and Sherry are full-size adults.
And so Katie got a second beer this one day. And she got drunk as hell. And she, at one point, she knew, like most of us know, all right, I can't be in public acting like us, like this. And when Katie goes into the house, I hear Moolah raging fucking out. And I will give Katie these props. She never turned me and Sherry in.
She didn't snooze.
Yeah, no, she did not belong in a ditch. She was not a snitch. But I'm pretty sure that Moolah knew it was me and Sherry out there.
Let's think about this for a second. I can't see you two being nothing but innocent angels.
Numbskull!
Me and Sherry, of course we were.
You guys were the perfect saints living on the property.
Of course we were. We are going to be announced to sainthood, about 100 years from now.
Yeah.
But
I know the story and I still laugh my ass off when...
I never expected, and this is my problem, is I never took into the weight, the weight, not the W-A-T-E, the weight, the pounds.
Yeah.
That 2 beers would put Katie over the edge.
Yeah.
And when she got back to the house, me and Sherry went to hide.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to go exit stage left here.
Yes, exit stage left.
We're going to leave the scene of the crime. We didn't see any,
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here.
Never gave Katie more than a beer a day after that. I miss her.
Yeah. You mentioned the name earlier, and God, I'd love to be able to talk with her at some point, but Wendy Richter. And I think we talked about this before, but if not, what the hell, we'll go there.
All right.
Wendy had the screw job, let's say, at the garden with Moolah.
No,
now,
let's not say. Let's just stomp it out. She got fucking screwed.
Okay, so
I'm
since she
sorry
got
for my
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
So we get fucking screwed. My question would be with, because she actually did some training with her in the Carolinas and worked with her before and all that stuff. Wouldn't you have a vibe that, hey, this ain't the spider lady? Because you've worked with this woman before and trained with her. You have that feel
And
with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and I understand exactly. That was definitely not Glendine, which is her shoot name.
But you go and lock
Because,
up with somebody, and if you've been with them
oh
before,
yeah,
you kind of know.
when as she's walking up to the ring, look at the difference in the body style.
Mm-hmm. Yes, something have went off on your head, Kellen.
Oh, hell yeah.
One of these things is not like the other.
Exactly. And I have watched this match and this pin time after time after time. Number one, it was a referee fast count. Number two, watch it, blow it up, and look. Wendy's shoulders are not down on the left-hand side. She's got her arm up like this.
And you work left-handed in the North America. Am I wrong? It maybe except in Mexico, but I think style's a little different. But at least U.S. and Canada, when you're trained, you work to the left side, so that's key, I think, when you say that.
When I talk about wrestling, see, that's one thing that Sandy Barr did. Is when me and Velvet were training,
yeah,
we worked with left hand, right hand wrestlers. And I'm talking Buddy Rose, Ed Wiskowski, go on and on and on. But when you look at the Great Screw
and
with Wendy,
her arms up.
Yeah, exactly. Both shoulders were not on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That was because, and I have heard that why that happened was, and I'm not saying this is truth, I'm saying this is what I heard, is that Wendy refused to drop the belt to Moolah. And that's why that had happened. I also know that, according to several people, that Wendy did not get out of her gear. She went in the room, threw her clothes in her bag, walked out,
caught a cab.
Caught a cab and disappeared from wrestling.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I understand why Wendy would not drop the belt. Moolah was 80 freaking years old, but she still had that anaconda grip on New York.
I'm still in the number one. Now here's another theory you could throw out there, because and I don't know, it's not my business, none of that, but some would say at that time period, as far as stature goes, especially on the ladies side, that Wendy would be the Hogan of the ladies division, and there might have been issues she may have had with payoffs. That, hey, I'm the top dog from the female side, I deserve a few more bucks. Could that be something?
And I have heard that too. But what I'm looking at is Wendy brought, Cyndi Lauper was like God at that time in the music business.
Yeah.
And she had done, oh shoot, what is the name of that song?
Girls Just Want to Have
Fun. And she had Lou Albino in it. And it was just, Wendy had everything going. And I know Wendy, I've been on the road with Wendy, and I am telling you right now, the body and the wrestling moves that she had, she earned them. I have been in a motel room with her, and if she couldn't find a gym close, or there was not a gym in the motel, she would do cardio running down the road and back. I mean,
she was disciplined about getting something in for the day.
Absolutely correct. It didn't matter what it was, but she was gonna work her business as much as she could. I cannot tell you how many beds Wendy and I have broke doing, spots. All right, we're going to do this and this, and damn.
Shit tends to happen,
It happens, exactly. But Wendy earned everything that she got.
So you can understand where I'm saying that, hey, from a business point of view, I helped you do this, this, and this, whether it be Cyndi, the work, she put the work in, to be that top dog in the division.
Right.
Am I wrong?
Oh, hell yeah. No, you're not. I'm sorry. Excuse me for cussing.
Say it.
She busted her ass. And that's not coming from somebody talking about her. That's from me with her on the road.
Yeah.
She could either, if there was a gym, she could lift weights. And when I got my neck hurt, she put me on one of those upside down things that would stretch my neck. And Wendy, I cannot remember having a bad day on the road with Wendy. I cannot remember a bad day that Wendy was not out there busting her ass to get what she became.
Yeah. All right. Because we're going to have to do a part 3, but there's a question I'm thinking about. And they usually ask the guys this, and obviously the names that are thrown out there, like a Vader or this one or that one, makes sense as far as we'll have a little fun with this. I'm sure I'm going to get a good answer here. Did you ever notice with any of the girls you worked with that maybe not have decent hygiene, whether it be personally or their gear or whatever the case may be?
Actually, no, because we all were in the same motel room. And we all, like, if we wrestled that night, we took our gear in the
sink,
bathroom.
In the sink or the tub.
Yep, with the ivory soap, because that was the best thing. We all had a bar of ivory soap in our bag. And we would scrub our knee pads, our outfits. You would spray your boots. So, no, I can never say that any woman I wrestled against smelled bad.
Yeah, because, some people, like I said, people will reference Vader or whatever, especially the bigger guys or whatever, and be like, dude, at least where like you said, everybody, you get to the hotel, you air out your stuff, or you try to rub something in.
Right.
Yeah, you be not only for yourself, but the respecting of who you're working.
Exactly.
Because
Right, because if you get in the ring and you tie up with somebody and they smell like hell, it's like you want to throw them over the top rope.
Yeah.
But I can honestly say, with all the women and the men that I had tag teamed with or wrestled, that was not a problem. I mean, you have people out there that don't clean themselves. And I have actually seen it in a dressing room where the boys, and I'm not going to name a name,
okay,
where the boys have taken a guy and said, "You're taking a shower now." And they would rinse out his gear. But he would not be there long after that because there's no reason.
Is that part of weeding back in the day when you were trained up in with Sandy Bar and all? Was that kind of like one of those ways of weeding out the folks who didn't respect what you did or the business?
Absolutely correct. It's just like when I was training for wrestling and there was a garbage can on, the old black big garbage cans on every side of the ring.
It wasn't when it was you knew you were throwing up.
Right. And it's the same way. If I've got to be out in the ring with you and the only thing that I can smell is your crap, no. Because when I get back to the dressing room, you and I are going to have a talk. And I can actually remember, and this was right after the Buddy Rose Piper feud. And I was in the dressing room, and this person when he came into the dressing room, he would walk up to somebody and say, "Do you have tape? Do you have aspirin?" All of this, right? And the guys finally got tired of it. And the guy came to Buddy Rose. Gotta love my brother.
I know where this is going, but that's why
He asked Buddy for an aspirin. Well, Buddy gave me 4 pills.
Do we know what these 4 pills were?
Niacin. And this was about 20 minutes before his match, which gave them they digested.
Your circulation is going when you're out there. It might have sped up. This might have sped up the process a little bit.
Well, the worst thing is this was on a TV live show. And everybody, heels and baby faces.
It was a sellout at the curtain, right?
Right. We're all inside the dressing room and we're watching this match, and all of a sudden you see this guy's neck starting turning red. And then it grows through his face. Now, understand, when you have a niacin overdose, not only do you turn red, but you itch from high point to high point. And this kid was on live TV. I remember him coming back for a few weeks, but he never asked anything from anybody again.
Oh boy. I think we got to top it off there because we're gonna have to do a part 3 with this. The stories are awesome, and I know we repeated a story or two, but that's fine. They're funny. They're great. This is entertaining. But
Okay.
Go ahead.
I've got a little tease. Y'all know I already have a book out there, right?
I was gonna go there, but what do you got?
I'm working with somebody, and I think we might put out a second book.
Ooh.
With a whole lot more information than what the first book did.
Because that's what I was going to ask. Where can people get the first book?
The first book, they can contact me, and it's $35 including shipping and autograph, and that is www.facebook.com /Vicky.Otis.7. And I do the jewelry, I do the book. Contact me on that Facebook page, and we'll work everything out.
Awesome. Vicky, you know I love you. You've been great the past few years I've gotten to know you. You're always there. You always provide a laugh. And I know there's people we both know, and I'm not saying any names as we close, but we've had a couple chuckles about in recent conversations. I won't say anybody I know in California would be on that list. But yeah, yeah, we've chuckled a lot about certain people. I said to Vicky, I sent her a message on Facebook. I go, "Can you believe this shit?" And I'm sorry. And I was like, then after said thing, I said, because I felt bad, but not in a bad way, nothing negative for anybody. But I go, right. I said to her after the fact, because I knew what she was kind of walking into, 2 out of the 3 parties. And I go, so was this as bad as I thought it was? It wasn't, but it was just like she knew where I was going with it. But
right.
Vicky, thank you so much for the time. I'll talk to you soon. We'll have to do a part 3 about the book.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey folks, looking for the ultimate destination for the nerd enthusiasts and collectors? Well, we found the spot for you. Nerds Nest Collectibles is a haven for nerds, geeks, and fans alike, as they have many different products and certainly more to come. Make sure you go ahead and visit them at nerdsnestcollectibles.com. Check them out.
Hey y'all, this is Adam Marcus, writer and director of Jason Goes to Hell and Secret Santa, and you are taking a ride on Crazy Train Radio. Badass.